How you doing?
Yeah. Could have been more professional and brought a mic with me. How are you doing? You okay?
I'm good. I'm good.
It's nice to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you again.
Yes. So, how have you found being back in the UK?
Good. I'm here fairly regularly, so it's good to be back.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
So you do a lot more directing work now?
Yeah.
Is that what it's for? Is it with that?
Yeah. Yeah. I was shooting here last year on a couple different film projects. Yeah.
Oh, cool, man. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm guessing a lot of you guys have got questions for Alex. Is that right? You can have a show of hands of how many people have got questions. That's pretty good. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask a couple of questions if that's okay, and then I'm going to turn it over to the audience.
Cool.
So obviously we're here to talk about The Lost Boys.
Yeah.
What would you say your experience was like making such an iconic film? Do you have a lot of fun making it?
Yeah, we had a good time. You know, I think the thing about Lost Boys for most of us was that a lot of times making movies is extremely unglamorous work. You're working really long hours and it's relentless. It's fun, but relentless. Lost Boys was, Joel Schumacher had this way of creating a very kind of family, communal environment. So it was a lot more fun than most movie projects, I think, for many of us that were acting in it. But then for the four of us that were playing the vampires, you know, we went to bed in the morning and we got up at night and we rode motorcycles around on the boardwalk all summer. So it wasn't really like work.
So how old are you when you made Lost Boys?
I was probably about 21.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. So we got up to a lot of trouble. Yeah.
So 21 years old, just legal to drink in America.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we got up to a lot of trouble.
Anything you can divulge, or you'd rather keep that at...
Yeah. But we had a good time. But Joel was definitely scrambling to try to figure out where we were at any given time, and you know. But it was really enjoyable. It was just a really fun environment, and he cast movies really well. So everybody that was in it, you know, each part was just. They were all very iconic actors.
Absolutely. There's someone that was in the film, obviously he's no longer with us, Edward Hammond, who played Max.
Yeah.
What was he like? Because I've seen him pop up in loads of stuff, and he always seems like a really...
I mean, I grew up doing theater, so in New York. I was a child actor, and I knew Ed from doing theater. So there were certain actors like Diane Wiest and Ed, who I knew from back east, Bernard Hughes, who were huge theater actors. So it was really surprising to see actors like that in a big blockbustery Hollywood movie. Yeah. It was cool.
Because did you know it was going to be like a Hollywood blockbuster going into it?
Well, I knew that Warner Brothers was behind it.
Yeah.
You never know how a film's going to do, obviously. We didn't know whether it would be a hit or not. We certainly didn't think that it would have longevity all these years later. That's something you never really expect.
No.
It's really great, but you just don't expect it. But there was a lot of support for the movie going in.
Because it's pretty good, to be fair.
Well, Joel is really good, and he cast really well, I think.
I know Joel Schumacher in the geek community gets a lot of abuse for Batman and Robin. But that dude has made some incredible films.
He's a super talented filmmaker.
Amazing. Yeah. And obviously he works with a lot of the same people. Like Kiefer's popped up in a few of his projects. You said about the sense of family that he created on set. That really shows through, not just with you guys, but obviously with obviously Jason Patric's character and Corey Haim. What was it like? Did you feel it was like us versus them on the set, or were you all one big happy family? Or
no, I mean it was really communal. We all hung out a lot. You know, the two Coreys were running around causing trouble. I was like the den dad. I was always chasing them around, trying to get them to go to bed. It was fun. I mean, it was a very spirited. A lot of us stayed friends after the movie was done, because it's, you know, I was saying this yesterday, but it's a very seminal period in your life when you're that age anyway, no matter what you're doing. So it was just kind of a memorable summer for that group. So we sort of all went off into our lives, but we were very connected by having gone through that experience together.
Yeah, and obviously, as you said, it's a crucial age in your life. It's something you're going to look back on.
Yeah.
So whereas I look back on that summer of my age, and it was like I was hanging out, playing music, getting drunk, You look back on that summer from your age, and I made one of the greatest films in history.
Well, you don't think of it that way. You know? So it's just kind of the same. It's just very strong, poignant memories.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's what, 32 years later, and I'm still
Yeah, it's
bothering you
crazy.
about it?
Yeah, that I never would have expected.
No.
Yeah.
No. Well, obviously, everyone here, look at the amount of people who are here to...
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's wild. Has anyone got any questions for Alex?
Hi, Alex.
Hi.
Excited to get a photo with you later.
Cool.
I actually wanted to ask about Bill and Ted, because
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to the new film. Have you had fun working on that, if you've started work on that?
Yeah, we just finished. We just got home. We shot all through the summer in New Orleans, and it's coming out in August. So we had a good time. We were shattered physically. I mean, shattered. But we had a really good time. A lot of people came back. You know, a lot of the cast from the first two are back. A lot of the crew are the same. Producers, writers are the same. So it was very much a reunion movie behind the camera as well. But we had a really good time. It was just hard. It's,
Super looking forward to
we're
that.
playing multiple versions of ourselves, so we're not only in every scene, we're often in every scene acting opposite ourselves. So about halfway through, I looked at Reeves, he looked at me, you're like, we are old, man. I'm tired. How about you? He's like, yeah, I'm tired. So we came home and went to sleep for like weeks. But it was good. Yeah, we had a really good time. We laughed a lot.
Oh, yes.
Hi, Alex.
Hi.
What was it like working with Charles Bronson on the set of Death Wish 3?
It was fun. We shot a lot of that here in London, and you know, he was a really pretty quiet guy, and I think he'd been through a lot. His wife had just died, or she was sick, I guess, at that time. Maybe I can't remember. I think she might have passed already. So he was kind of introspective. There was a lot of stuff going on in his personal life. But he was a really lovely person, very graceful, obviously very talented, but just a very graceful, gracious person. So we enjoyed, I mean, there was a lot of good actors on that movie that we all had fun working with. But it was great to work with him. Yeah. They don't make him like that anymore. You know, he had that kind of old school vibe. And I came up young, and there were a few people I worked with, like Bronson, Yul Brynner, certain people like that, who they don't make them like, you know, you meet stars now, you're like, okay, it's cool, but it's not the same. So, different era.
Hi, Alex. The film I want to talk about is actually Freaked. I absolutely love that film.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and I know it got kind of dumped by the studio, didn't it, in like limbo. And it's a shame because I really want a soundtrack release for that film because it's actually great.
You don't know it's coming out.
Is it?
Yeah, we've just done Mondo has just done a double, I think it's a double album. We spent like 4 years working on it.
That's great because I've been looking for the song that's playing during the montage sequence for years.
Yeah, what we did was we got all the bands back. We remastered all of it, including the score and all the rock tracks, the Henry Rollins track. And then I went back. Iggy Pop had done a title track demo that he wanted us to use that we couldn't end up using. So we went back to Iggy and we got the original demo that he recorded for us back in like 92. And so that's on it as well. It's coming out like in October, I think. November.
I'm going to have to buy that then. There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There you go.
That's all. You're going to make that dude buy a record player as well now?
Yeah, well, I'm sure it'll be digital as well, but you got to get the vinyl.
Mondo do some awesome releases
Yeah,
as
they
well.
do
They're
good stuff.
killing it,
Yeah.
man.
Hi, Alex.
Hi.
Marco was my favorite.
Oh, thank you.
I was upset what happened to him.
What happened to him?
First come, first staked.
That's an honor, man. What are you talking about?
But I read that they put glitter in the blood so they could get the age rating of the film down. So I was wondering, how does it feel to be the original sparkly vampire?
You know, I'm a pretty sparkly guy. I didn't even. That's the funny thing is I didn't even remember any. I didn't remember that. I think because I think it's like they built a whole version of my body to gush the blood out of. So I never really interacted with the glitter too much. Yeah, I told the story yesterday, but it was fun. It's just it was hard dying in dirt with the two Corys kicking dirt into my contact lenses, but other than that, it was cool.
In like my day job, I've worked in like selling glasses and contact lenses for
Oh,
years.
yeah.
You were telling that story yesterday, and I was thinking in my head, as an eye care professional, I am absolutely outraged.
Yeah.
Hi, Alex. When's the trailer dropping for Bill and Ted 3, and can you tell us anything about the plot?
Trailer probably won't be out till spring. We may do a teaser around New Year. We're kind of fighting for that right now. We may or may not win. There's a couple of really good teaser moments. So we're trying to get a teaser out over the holidays and then trailer out in spring. But it's hard to say. I think we may have a trailer in front of the new Bond movie, which would be hilarious. So maybe April, I think, March, April.
Did you and Keanu work on anything else between the last Bill and Ted and this?
What's that?
Have you worked on anything else with Keanu since the last Bill and Ted?
Yeah, Keanu did he did voiceover for my doc Deep Web a couple of years ago. And we sort of, through the years what we do is like if he's working on a project, I'll look it over. If I'm working on a project, he looks it over. Yeah. But we haven't acted together. I mean, I stopped acting professionally primarily in like 94. So I've just been directing since then. So
yeah, because when I obviously looking into things, it's a lot of directorial work. Because you did some of the Ben 10 TV movies.
Yeah, I did. We brought one of those over here. We premiered it in Piccadilly, Ben 10 1, I think, the one with Lee Majors in 2008.
Because I remember watching that on Cartoon Network primarily just because you directed it.
Yeah, we had fun on that.
Yeah, man, it was cool.
Yeah.
You're not going to attempt to get Keanu to put you in like a John Wick film or anything?
I don't know. I don't think so. But I like watching him.
You'd be awesome as like
yeah.
Keanu turns the corner as like after killing like 700 dudes.
I don't know if it would work though because I've got glitter blood, right? If they shoot me and a bunch of glitter blood comes out, kind of lame.
He fought dogs in John Wick 3. You can do anything, man. You could be like a magic glitter guy.
Yeah. It is what it is. I got glitter blood.
You are such a happy guy. Like, it sparkles.
Yeah.
Does anyone get any more questions for Alex?
Hello.
Hi.
I was just wondering, have you ever been really intimidated working with anybody before?
When I was really little, I worked with Yul Brynner. I mean, we ended up working together for a while because I did King and I on Broadway, and then we took it on the road. But when I auditioned for that, it was a musical, so I had to sing a song like in this giant empty Broadway theater for the musical director. And it turned out Yul Brynner was there, and he like came walking down, and they kind of kept him hidden, and I completely freaked out. So when I was coming up, when I was younger, it would be intimidating working with some of the greats like that. He ended up being an incredibly lovely guy and just super open. But not really so much once I was in the business. Not really. But when I was younger, sort of like I was saying, there was... so the older generation had a very kind of venerable presence. Bronson was a little intimidating, but he was just such a gentle person that you got over it quickly. And we were all a little nervous around George Carlin when he first started. We were about halfway through the shoot when Rufus came on. And I was such a huge George Carlin fan that I was a little nervous around him. But again, George was such a gentle, compassionate guy that you immediately got over whatever jitters you had. So.
Hi.
Hey.
So the style of the Lost Boys is extremely strong for each of the characters, and each character is quite unique, but the style also looks very lived in, like it really is a part of them. I wondered if you had some say in how you styled your own characters.
Yeah, I mean, to a degree. I mean, Joel had come out of fashion, so he was very specific about the look of things, and he had very specific ideas about hair, makeup, wardrobe, all of that. But yeah, the way it worked was, for me, was I got Susie Becker, who was the wardrobe designer, very famous wardrobe designer. I got to Warner Brothers early, just by coincidence. So I walked into her office, and all of the clothes were laid out on the floor. And none of the other actors had gotten it. I just had the first session. So she's like, you got first dibs on this. So I was just like made a beeline for that jacket. I was like, I don't really care what else you put on me. I'm definitely taking this. She's like, yeah, it's smart. You should, you know. But other than that, I sort of, you know, I had some ideas around it, but Joel is pretty specific. So, and in the early phase of development on it, they were trying all kinds of stuff on us. So I remember they sent me to makeup, and makeup, like, they like made me look like Motley Crue or Kiss at first, like giant hair, all this makeup, and I was like looking at myself like, oh my God, like I'm wondering if I can still like get out of doing this movie. But then Joel came in, he was like, what did you do to him? Like, get all that shit off his face. I was like, oh, thank God. So yeah, he was pretty specific, but he was also very open to what we wanted to do, especially on the vampire side, because you know, the gang of us, we kind of wanted to feel uniform. So we kind of discussed ideas about how to make it feel like we were our own little family, basically.
What's interesting, following up on that, is they all seem to have like military medals. Was there ever given any backstory about how old they were or how long they've been vampires?
No, I mean, we talked about it a little bit. I mean, obviously the idea was that we were sort of, you know, kind of homeless, runaway kids, but how long we'd been together was just something we talked about. It wasn't ever something that became part of the film.
No, no.
So we just sort of, you know, kicked it around, this idea of how long the Edward Herrmann character had been kind of corralling this gang. And had probably been for a while. We sort of made our way around various parts of the world.
Well, that's what I was, as a kid watching it, I thought, well, either they've been vampires for like hundreds of years.
Yeah,
or
that's
they've
the
just
idea.
been stealing
Well, yeah,
stuff.
I mean, obviously my name is Marco. You're not going to find anyone in Santa Cruz named Marco, right? So, I mean, I assumed I sort of like was this Eastern European, you know, character that had sort of drifted to the States.
Yeah, because I think one of the characters had like British war medals on or something. The trench coat that Kiefer wore.
Yeah, and the cave was decked out. You can't see, like, Michael Chapman's one of the greatest DPs ever, and he lit the cave beautifully, but it's very dark, and you can't really see much of it. And the cave had incredible detail in the production design. Sort of the idea was it was like an old hotel that had kind of sunk into the, so with like chairs hanging from the ceiling. But there was a lot of detail in the cave of our lives and the whatever the history was of where we had come from.
And then a big Jim Morrison poster, because no matter how old you are, everybody likes the Doors.
Exactly.
Has anyone got any more questions for Alex?
Hi, Alex.
Hi.
Just touching on your documentary work, your downloaded documentary is really good. I thought that was really brilliant. Your dark web documentary, I can't seem to get. It's not easy to get in the UK, so I don't know if that's something we can look at. But I just wondered, first, I suppose, what gets you interested enough in a subject to make a documentary? And is there anything on the horizon that we can look forward to?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I tend to gravitate towards stories that are, you know, ripped from the headlines on some level, but that haven't gotten the exposure that I feel they should have, or that there's some aspect of the story that hasn't been told at all. So I did a doc last year that's coming out. It's been out in the States for a while. It's coming out here in a few months, called The Panama Papers, which is about the biggest whistleblower leak, sort of the largest global corruption scandal in history. But a lot of people don't know the story. In fact, there's a lot of UK aspects to that story. I shot here on that for a while. Then I did another doc on blockchain technology that's coming out. The two docs I'm working on right now, I'm doing one on Frank Zappa that I've been working on for about 5 years. And that's been a monster, because we had access to his entire vault of his entire life's work. That'll be out next year. Then I'm doing a doc for HBO on children in show business. which is quite heavy. And I'm shooting that right now. That'll be out next year.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I can imagine you've had several phone calls from people wanting to talk to you about that one.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a ride, but it's been good.
Yeah.
It's been good. Super interesting.
Hi, Alex.
Oh, hello.
What is your favourite scene in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure?
I'm sorry, what's that?
What's your favourite scene in...
Oh, my favorite scene. In Bill and Ted 1.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Probably Going to the Future. Probably the stuff we did in the future was my favorite stuff. It was super fun, and we were working with some pretty big rock and roll icons on that. But that whole movie was kind of a blur. It was pretty low budget. We shot it really fast, and we shot it in Rome and in Arizona. The Western scene was also super fun. I'd always wanted to be in a cowboy scene, so we had fun doing that. Yeah. What was your favorite scene in Bill and Ted 1? That's probably more important.
I don't actually know. I like it all.
Okay, good. Great. I'll take that.
All right, thank you. Okay, sorry. Another question?
I didn't know until recently you did the voice of the Bill and Ted animated series.
First season, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
unusual. They don't normally get the film cast.
Yeah, we had fun. I mean, it was amazing. We had incredible cast. We had like the whole cast of Laugh-In was basically the whole ensemble. So we had like Jonathan Winters and Joanne Worley, and it was amazing. We had little Richard came and did guest spots. We had
That's sweet.
yeah, incredible guest spots. So we had a good time, but it was pretty quick.
Has everyone seen the Bill and Ted animated series? Because over here in the UK, I think it was on like Sunday mornings on Channel 4, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You wake up and your mum and dad are hungover and don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Bill and Ted. And the amazing theme tune as well.
Oh yeah, no, it was crazy. Wow.
Hello, Alex. You all right?
Hi.
What did you think to the sequels of The Lost Boys?
I haven't seen them.
Honest opinion.
I haven't seen any of them.
You haven't seen them?
I got nada. I haven't seen them. Sorry.
What is the second best vampire movie ever made?
Well, I mean, my favorite vampire movies are the old ones. So I like Vampire. I like Dracula, the old one. I like Nosferatu, both of them, the Herzog one and the Murnau one. So I like super old movies. So my favorite vampire movies are old ones generally, and I find them more scary.
What did you think of Keanu's Dracula?
I liked it. I actually went to set for some of that. So I watched them shoot a couple scenes. I watched them shoot the scene where he gets sort of like lured in by the women. I watched them shoot that and a couple other scenes. It was beautiful. That set was amazing. And Oldman is incredible in that film.
Yeah.
It's incredible. We also had, on Freak, we had the same visual effects guy, Gene Warren, who was doing all the effects on Dracula. So I watched them shoot like a bunch of the visual effects. And the cool thing on Dracula was they did a lot of them in camera, which is very uncommon. So they were doing super old school style visual effects for a modern movie.
There's that scene where there's the book and the train goes across the top, and they've done it as like a forced perspective.
Exactly,
oh,
yeah.
It's so
yeah,
good.
it's beautiful. Yeah, it's a beautiful movie.
Oh, Tony?
Yeah. Hello. Hi. This
Hi.
is really exciting. So I was just wondering for the Lost Boys, for all of the motorcycle scenes, there was quite a lot of motorcycle scenes in the sand and everything.
Yeah.
Did you guys all know how to ride prior to the movie?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
Yeah, we did. In fact, it was kind of a prerequisite for playing one of the vampires. It was the first audition I had, they didn't get into it. The second, by the time I got into callbacks, the callback was with Schumacher and Richard Donner, who was producing it, who made Goonies and Superman. And first thing out of Donner's mouth was, can you ride a motorcycle? And I said, yes. He's like, can you really ride a motorcycle? Because if you ask an actor a question in an audition, the answer is always yes, right? And then they go away and try to figure it out before they get to set. But we were riding almost in every scene. So there was a lot of motorcycle riding to do. So yeah, and we worked with the stunt guys as well because they wanted us to do as much of the riding as we could. But yeah, I'd been riding since I was pretty little.
Before he goes to the next question, What is on your resume that is a lie? Like if we were doing an
Well, I
audition...
don't have a resume anymore.
what would have been if I told you?
I don't know. Probably half of it was a lie. I mean, whenever you see the special skills section at the bottom, that's all BS.
Alex, do you speak French? Oui.
Absolutely. Oh, absolument.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello. Absolute honour to be able to ask questions and see all you guys here this weekend. It's been amazing. Who would you like to work with in the future who you haven't, because you work with amazing actors and directors and everything, who haven't you worked with, who you'd like to work with in the future?
I mean, I haven't worked with Meryl Streep. That would be pretty great. She's doing incredible work these days. There's so many actors I'd love to work with that I haven't worked with, and certain comedy actors.
Is there anyone who you might want to direct or...
Yeah, I mean, I love directing actors. So, you know, there's actors that are no longer with us that I wish I could have worked with. You know, I always wanted to work with Alec Guinness. Peter Sellers was probably my idol growing up. You know, I was born here, and I grew up with a lot of British actors and British humor. So I was a big Spike Milligan fanatic when I was young. So there are people like that. I would have loved to have worked with Python. That's all my sensibilities, so those are the people. I'd love to work with Cleese or Palin, Eric Idle.
Before we go to the next question, by the way,
Yeah.
the guy who just asked that question, I know him because he's like a Lost Boys mega fan.
Oh, cool.
And he actually puts on screenings of the Lost Boys in Liverpool, where we're from.
Oh, great.
So I think we should give George a massive round of applause. Because when he found out about the Lost Boys reunion, I think he nearly died.
Great.
Hi.
Hi.
Billy was saying yesterday he got to take his jacket home at the end of filming. Did you take anything?
Yeah, I took my jacket, which promptly fell apart, disintegrated. I think I had my boots. I had stuff that's long gone. But yeah, I had some props in the movie. I think I might have even had one of the stakes, one of the collapsible stakes that you can clearly see in the movie is a collapsible stake if you're watching it closely, especially on a Blu-ray. It's just like a collapsible stake. Oh, okay. Has like all of the different, you know, hilarious.
Anybody at the back want to
You
ask
guys
a
know the
question?
Flies story? Have they told that story? Like there was glitter blood when they killed me. But the other thing was that Joel had this idea that he would fill the cave for my death scene with flies. And because this was kind of before the era of CG, where obviously now they would just do it with computer animation, he literally brought in like 400,000 real flies and unleashed them into the stage at Warner Brothers. And of course, everything is lit so dark. Like in my death scene, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of flies, and you can't see any of them, right? Not a single one. Like if I defy you to watch that movie and find a fly, but there are literally thousands of them. And flies, as you probably know, reproduce at an alarming rate. So he got in a lot of trouble because Warner Brothers Studios, the whole lot for like a year after that was infested with flies, all of which were invisible to the naked eye.
There's a question at the back.
Hi, Alex. Hi. Hi.
Hi.
The soundtrack was such an epic soundtrack. Which was your favourite song?
I mean, you know, the G-Max song is kick-ass. The thing Capello did was great. My favorite is the Echo and the Bunnymen, because I was a huge Echo fan and a big Doors fan. So, and that sequence is so unbelievably well shot. I remember, it's one of the few movies that I've been in. I mean, honestly, it's probably the only movie that I've been in that I like to watch. It's hard to watch yourself, you know? So thankfully, I'm not in a lot of it. But it's also so beautiful. Like, I remember going to the premiere and just going, oh my God, like, this is a trip. You know, it's so well shot and edited, and the acting, you know, the other actors are so good. But that sequence is so badass. With the Echo, I just remember going, damn, that's just really, really beautifully constructed, the whole sequence. That's my favorite.
Thank you.
Phenomenal band, Echo and the Bunnymen. Amazing band.
Yeah, they're the best.
Being from Liverpool, they're like local legends.
Yeah, yeah.
Hi. I just wanted to know what was your favourite scene to film in The Lost Boys?
Oh, the train scene, right? That's the best scene in the movie, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Joel told me that when he read the script, that was the scene that made him want to make the film. It's an amazing scene. It's a beautifully constructed scene cinematically. It's got very little to do with us, I think. But we had a lot of fun shooting that scene, and it's just like a magical movie scene. You don't get to do too many of those as an actor. So that was my favorite. Yeah.
Any more questions at the back? Because we seem to be missing you out. Or any over here?
There's one down to your right there, Tony.
Yep, sorry.
Hi, Alex.
Hey.
So what was the audition process like for The Lost Boys? Was it like your first big job, and was it a tough, grueling audition process?
No, it wasn't. I mean, I'd been acting since I was 8 or 9 professionally. The thing about it was actually fairly easy. Bill and Ted was much harder. That was super grueling. It went on forever. But on Lost Boys, Marion Darty, who was probably the most famous casting director in Hollywood, cast it, and she met me very casually in an early setting, I think at Warner's, and I just went and sat with her, had a casual, she was so good, she would just have a casual conversation with you and know in like 5 seconds whether she wanted to talk to you or not beyond that. And then she passed my name up to Joel, and the next audition was with Joel, and then I had one more afterwards with Joel and Donner, and that was it. And they were all like super mellow. It was kind of another level of, like, Joel is a very kind of, he's a kind of venerable guy. He'd worked with Woody Allen. He knew what he wanted. It can be more grueling when you're working with less experienced filmmakers who just don't know what they want, and then you're auditioning and auditioning and auditioning, and that's what we did on Bill and Ted. It was just endless. But on Lost Boys, it was mellow. The whole experience was pretty mellow. Like, everybody was so kind of high end. I mean, it wasn't my first big, because I'd acted on Broadway like all through my childhood, but I definitely got to set, and it was another level of movie for me, for sure. Like, it was like, oh, okay, this is a big Hollywood movie. I'd never really done that before, and you were in really good hands, and you felt like you were in good hands. But the process of auditioning was pretty low-key.
Okay. Any more questions? Because we're coming to the end, you're going to have to put your hands up.
We've got a couple of minutes left, so if you do want to ask a question, please throw your hands up now.
Hi, Alex.
Hi.
Just a quick one. Fact or fiction? When auditioning for Bill and Ted, did you go for the part of Ted, and you were supposed to have that originally?
No, Keanu was confused. To be fair to him, the way the audition process worked on Bill and Ted was they brought like tons of young actors in, and they would have you, like, we auditioned on our own, and then we auditioned together, and then we had this like day where they brought like dozens of actors in, and you read both parts against all these other actors. And it went on for like 6 or 7 hours. And I remember we left and had lunch and then came back and did it again. So by the time that day was done, and it was weird the way they did it the way you would like audition for a soccer baseball team, where like, as they didn't want people, they sent them home. It was really kind of messed up, to be honest with you. So we were kind of the last men standing. We're like, well, I guess we got it because there's nobody else here, or they're just really sadistic. And so when they brought us in, like after we were cast, we got to the producer's office, and we were sitting in the waiting room, and Keanu was like all bummed out, and I was like, and by then we'd become really close friends just through this long audition process. We both rode motorcycles, so we were like riding around together. And we were sitting in the office, he's like all bummed out. I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, well, I'm playing Ted, and I thought I was playing Bill. I was like, what? He's like, yeah. And I was like, dude, I don't give a shit who I play. Why don't you play Bill? I don't care. It doesn't make any difference to me. It's interchangeable. Like, what's the difference between these two characters? I have no idea. It's like, to this day, I can't get him to explain to me like what the difference is. But Yeah, and he had to like wrap his head around playing Ted.
There was one at the front just there,
Cool.
Alex.
Hello. Hi, Alex.
Hi.
What I'd like to know, the question is, I'd like to ask you, out of all you boys, who was the most misbehaved?
Sorry, I can't really hear.
What would you say, sorry?
Out of all the boys, who was the one that misbehaved the most?
Which Lost Boy?
Oh, in Lost Boys?
Which one of the Lost Boys cast was the most misbehaved?
Probably Feldman, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he gets a lot of shit. I feel bad, but it was probably Feldman. I mean, I was like 21, but I'd been acting so long by then that like the two Coreys were like these lost sheep, and I was like the camp counselor, and so they would like knock on my hotel room door at like 2 in the morning looking for like their mom or like up to some trouble that I'd have to get them out of. I was like den dad. So the two Coreys were like a total pain in the ass. I loved them dearly. They were really sweet. But for sure they misbehaved the most. Both of them. Mostly Feldman.
Nothing's changed there, really.
He's not here, so I can say whatever I want.
And we're gonna wrap it up there. So if that's okay with you,
Cool, man.
We're gonna
Yeah.
take a selfie from the stage with everyone in the background. So if you all want to pile in, ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen, please
Thanks
give it
so
up
much.
for the amazing Alex Winter.